Hello everyone, this is Cookies, and I've got turn 40 as Omniscience in same Kidzin, different salt. Let's go ahead and jump into this. So we get a message from Hinnom. Let's see if Marverni walks on my throne fort. And this is the throne fort that I've been kind of wanting Marverni to take advantage of while Hinnom's been more busy. He hasn't even replied to my messages in Discord. Rude. But he will be in for a ruder awakening if he does, in terms of walking on the throne fort. Also walking Roughites back on Sauromatia to slaughter their final stack. So this is one of those things where you want to come up with diplomatic agreements while you still have leverage. Marverni had a lot more leverage a couple of turns ago, when Hinnom was a lot more stretched thin. But now that Hinnom's gained a lot of territory over the last couple of turns from Xibalba attacking Lanka, there might be less diplomatic negotiation room with Hinnom now. Alright. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So we've got TNC riding out on Helheim. We've got the Karate Kidzin. Does have a global up. This is an unequaled obesity hero and a number of herdmen. Now the cat should have no issues killing this. Here's the buff script. Iron Skin, Earth Power, Temper Flesh, Astral Shield, and Elemental Fortitude. It should kill the herdmen, and then I anticipate the hero at least leaving. So hopefully that survives for Helheim. He's able to get some gear on it. It's always sad watching heroes die with no gear. Yep, there we go. So the HP route. Then we've got Xibalba versus Sauromatia. Okay, so this is a pretty cool little raid. Serpent Fiends, I found myself getting them more and more frequently. If I don't want to spend normal gems on patrol chaff, they do alright. You get 2 per, and I think it's 4 blood slaves for 3. I forget the exact pricing, but it's not really mage turn efficient, but it is somewhat resource efficient in terms of blood slaves rather than gems. So it's probably comparable to like a nature mage casting wolves. But yeah, and then you also get a flyer with a venomous death poison. So they're a little bit better in combat than some patrol chaff, and also it gives you a flying patrol chaff that can do attack rear really quickly to try and kill casters that are trying to hurt your blood hunting economy. So even having a few of them mixed in, or some other type of flyer, is pretty good. But yeah, we've got this guy. He's just a imp 1. He's just a little commander, it looks like. I don't see any blood slaves on him. So it looks like this is a raiding party. This is a lot of horse tribe, though. And Serpent Fiends don't have great protection, so I can see them pretty easily losing this. We did see a Blood Vengeance tick there, which means the mage was hit, potentially killed. Okay, so he got hit and left, which caused a rout. Alright. Then we've got Lake Fortune. We've got Hinnom attacking Lanka. Did the shrimp soldiers go away from a lack of pay? Or is this a different lake? Oh, it's a different lake because it's Lanka. Okay. Pretty budget group. Alright. Then in Chalad, we've got Xibalba attacking Sauromatia. Looks like we're doing a little bit of imp spam. Not sure if it's enough. Again, we've got heavy cavalry. Okay, there goes one mage. The other one's wounded now. Almost dead. Leaves. Okay. So Xibalba loses 1 to 2 mages there, depending on how the retreat went. In Cloudbreakers, we've got TNG versus Helheim. No, I guess just 1 PD. But here's the formation again. We've got the Demons of the Heavenly Fires down here on the bottom. They're pretty cool units. We've talked about them before. Then we've got some archers on the other flank. So still mostly the same formation. Then we've got Indron. So Lanka attacking Xibalba. So we've got a Mound King with a very small group of Ghanas, but these are Lizard Tribe, so could be pretty difficult. And the reason for that is these guys get 2 attacks. So on it, well, normally on average they'll hit through Body Ethereal pretty quickly. But if your leadership dies, which it looks like it may have done here. What was it? Was it this one? Yeah, so the Batab was a commander. Kind of curious, did he just flee for some reason? Oh, yeah. A little random. Wasn't in any particular danger. So that's somewhat surprisingly successful. Then we've got Hinnom attacking Sauromatia. So this looks like a merc company. Amory the captain. Okay. So loses 1 spearman. Then we've got Xibalba against Sauromatia. So it looks like he is raiding past Hinnom to get to, or past Lankan lands to get to Sauromatia. This is a lot of PD though. Okay. So losing a fair number of mages here trying to elf Sauromatia. Loses an Aken here. Helheim going after an independent province. This guy's got a charcoal shield and is twice born. These are the phantasms. Long Dead do an amazing job against phantasms. Not... I think it's because they're mindless, so they don't really get affected by false damage, if I remember right. Wonder if there's like a description. Mindless beings are immune to false damage. Alright. So yeah, it doesn't take too many long dead to just overwhelm this kind of stuff. Alright, and let's see, that was this one in Troll Canyons. Then we get a bump. So Xibalba's also going to try and claim Troll Canyons. It's a group of Cynocephalians. As a reminder, this was the Helheim Blast. So poison weapons, slowing weapons, shock res, poison res, fire res, blur, and magic resistance. Alright, so the thug ends up winning it, likely because of this charcoal shield. Alright. Then in Valrest, okay, another Spear of the Morgan guy, along with a mixed party of Numidians and Unmarked. Everyone's blessed. And just killing militia should be a pretty good time, filled with lots of experience. Okay. Then, let's see, we've got Hinnom attacking, I think, the barbarians. Okay, no one's here, though, in terms of leadership. Unblessed Jade Maidens. And then, let's see, that was there. And then we've got continuing to vulture the cave. Very good. So just a few Bakemono this time. Should be pretty simple. Okay. Then we've got TNG and from Helheim. Let's see, we've got a Nature 2. With some Herdmen. Oh, you're the unequaled obesity guy. Right. The same group. Or style of group, I guess. There we go. So Helheim doing pretty well in the raiding game right now. Xibalba losing a fair number of mages, trying to grab territory. And here we're seeing some of the impact of the attrition that Lanka's inflicted, especially on the flying portions of the Xibalban army. So he killed a lot of, I think, almost all the Ocelotls and almost all the flying bat sacreds. So it's made it a lot harder for Xibalba to try and properly, like, claim the territory that he wants to claim. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, so that was... Wait. That was here. That was Helheim, right? So we're on Gibernia now. So we've got the Sayer party that we've seen. Should do fine here. Okay. Doesn't lose anyone. Then we've got Xibalba versus Lanka. This is one of the better raiding groups that we've seen from Xibalba in terms of quality. So he's shown a few different raiding groups, mages doing stuff. Then we've seen Cynocephalian groups, but this group has a batch of sacreds, and it's got the Shade Beast to create Soulless. It's a very potent combination in the raiding game. So this should go pretty okay. So they've hopped on the leadership. You can see all the solos that got created. Alright. Then in the Barren Crags, we've got Helheim attacking Tianchi. So yeah, getting a lot more conflict now. I think as long as he doesn't take a weird morale check, he ought to be fine here. Alright. Let's see, so that was, I think, Barren Crags, yeah. So in Star Peaks, we've got Xibalba attacking Lanka. So a large number of these big sacreds, sacred scorpions, they've got a tremendous amount of HP, high protection, and with Blood Vengeance, they're just an absolute murder machine. So you'll see the number of Blood Vengeance checks that originate from these scorpions. It's their primary method of killing, honestly. Despite the fact that they have 2 pincers with pretty decent attacks and damage, and they've got a death poison tail. A little bit curious if the evocations might have killed his own mages. Okay, no. So that goes pretty well. Let's see. So actually, it went a little bit worse than I thought. This is 2 of the smaller ones, which is fine, but lost 4 fire drakes. Fire drakes are pretty expensive, unless you got them from an event. It does clean up the 5 more of the palankashas, which Lanka can't replace. But yeah, that was a little bit more attrition than I was expecting. In Delka, we've got Mekone attacking Tianchi. Just running into a bunch of PD. Kind of see what some of the incoming scripts are. And again, getting that weighting effect from the big giants, letting mechanical men eat stuff like lances and evocations, stuff like that. It's a pretty nice formation. I like it. Alright, so that was Delka, lost 1 mechanical man. In Karnag, we've got Hinnom attacking Lanka. This is a crew of Mazics. It is a lot of barbarians, though. Leadership's gone. Alright, does pretty well. Loses 2 more of the Mazics, but still enough to raid with. In Oaklands, we've got the Mekone Prophet attacking, so 29 HP. He's out trying to solo thug. Let's see. So basic maximum is 35, so he's losing 17 from Dominion penalty. So he's definitely not in his most powerful form. But at 26 protection, and by the way, this was the buff script, Temper Flesh, Stone Skin, Holy Avenger, Summon Earth Power, and it looks like attack after that. So he's got that Shock Trident. Okay, still at 27. This Jaguar tribe are really sticking it out. Okay. So cleans up that, a fairly sizable amount of PD. Not being defended, because he just won the big battle last turn. Then we've got Sauromatia attacking Hinnom. We've got the Sauromatian cavalry group. Misses whatever countermeasures were. I think Hinnom probably moved stuff to Sauromatia's capital, but Sauromatia isn't going for their capital. Okay. And then in Glanis, we've got Tianchi attacking Helheim. Ooh, some demons of the Heavenly River splitting off. Or I think we saw that last turn. Oh, but they run into the Helheim army. They might score a few kills on these Valkyries. The Valkyries are probably here to catch mages that might be trying to gym bait this army, or interrupt thugs with buff scripts, like if the cat shows up. Okay, but yeah, not much that poor party is going to do there. It's just a raiding party running into the wrong province. It does kill 3 of the Valkyries, though. Those turn 1 flyers often get pretty heavy attrition, so it can be difficult to keep them up if you're running an army without constantly reinforcing them. Alright, so we've got the Storming of Ulm. They've summoned a few more Mound Kings. The AI has put gems on the mages. We do have a contingent in the gate, and we've got some archers. I think for this attack, I think what you want is you want the Misushu back here, unless you're trying to point buff them, which he is with quickness. But yeah, hopefully they'll filter in properly through the ranks. Because if they all gather up on the side here, it's not going to be quite what you wanted, although they might rout the archers doing that. Okay, we did bring some Enki's Chosen for this. This is the Bless Undying Enchanted Blood Magic Leadership. As a reminder, the Olmish guys they're about to bless each other. The long ago Olmish Bless was Precision +5 Inspirational and Leadership. A little unfortunate, he lost the standard. Okay. Still no route on the archers. Alright, now we've got it. Okay. So that's the final defense of Ulm. Kills 7 Spearguard, 2 soldiers. Kills 2 Sacreds, though, and the Hornblower. So that's 35 gold, 229 gold. So, kills a little bit of stuff, but Ur's going to be pretty happy to have this fort that he probably originally considered his. We lose PD, because of course we do. Then there's an Indie attack, or an assassination. We've got a giant rat going after a priest. Wow, that rat was on a mission. It's killed 2 peasants. Honestly, if I saw a rat as big as a table, I'd run away. There we go. Alright. And then we've got heat +1. We've got independents attacking Hinnom. There we go. So Hinnom defends that. And then we see the end of Lanka. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Lankan region. Oh, I guess that was a Dom kill. Oh, he did not rule a single province. He definitely owns provinces. It's a little bit weird. Huh. Maybe I'm just not familiar with that. And he did not rule a single province, and he has... That's gotta be a Dom kill, I think. Although the messaging isn't Dom kill messaging. But he's definitely got 3 provinces, so that's kind of weird. Alright. So we've got... Let's see, so we've got Xibalba fighting the Sauromatia. I guess getting into the Lankan region here, but also Xibalba tried to do a little bit of an elfing on the remaining Sauromatian territory, which I'm not sure, unless he talked to Hinnom, I'm not sure that that's necessarily something you want to do. He's definitely lost a few mages doing it, so that's 2, because there was nowhere to retreat to. That's 3, so he lost 3 mages this turn. Does have more stuff in the area. I suppose he could try to bully Hinnom out of this fort. Hinnom's also over here. So that's going to be a new concern for Hinnom, is maybe Xibalba trying to take a bunch of this. I'm not sure if Xibalba should be trying to vulture all that. Or he's probably going to annoy people. Like running into Helheim here, running into Hinnom down here in Sauromatia. I wonder if we might see a coalition on Xibalba at some point. He's still got a ton of unrest here, so he might still be blood hunting this. Stardust Meadow. But yeah, we'll have to see. So this exit right here corresponds to this. So Ur's gonna try to take that next. If Xibalba just tries to send a mage or 2 down there to vulture that, that's probably not gonna work. Okay, so maybe Xibalba laying the seeds for some future fighting with others. Now, maybe from Xibalba's point of view, he's only got, I think, 3 realistic opponents. He can fight Hinnom, he can fight Helheim, and he can fight I think if I were Xibalba, I'd probably want to fight... I think my Sacreds with Blood Vengeance would do maybe best against Helheim. And then maybe I'd want to go after Hinnom, but the amount of scale stuff that can make to just... Like, yeah, they'll lose stuff to Blood Vengeance, but they're not losing Sacreds most of the time. And they've got a bunch of longbows that they can hire. So I'm not sure if you really would feel like you're getting your money's worth for the blood slaves on your summons if you fight her. I think that would be my least favorite matchup. I think Ur's also got, I mean, a lot of nations have good generals, but as long as has a good general. Okay, they've got, okay, they don't have a +2 leader, it looks like. So, but they do get standards, so they get the same effect. Yeah, I think if I'm Xibalba, like he might be trying to just vulture little pieces of Sauromatia. But I'm not sure. Maybe Marverni moved back. So that indicates maybe a desire for peace or like a more defensive mindset. So this stuff is probably going to leave. And it's a lot of stuff here. It's 2 milk carts. It's 100 units, mostly Sayer. We've got Roughite warriors in there. So as soon as this stuff moves back out to finish off this war, I don't think Xibalba, I mean, Xibalba, they can definitely trade into it. But Hinnom with vampiric weapons, they're going to get a little bit of their HP back as they're killing stuff. Probably not enough to offset Blood Vengeance, but it would also take a fair number of Blood Vengeance ticks to kill something like a Roughite. Hinnom can do stuff like point buff regen to help stronger units tank even more Blood Vengeance. Now, Death Poison isn't something that Hinnom wants to deal a lot with, so we'll see. I do think Hinnom's going to want this swamp, though, but we'll see if Xibalba tries to vulture that. And we'll see if they try to knock Hinnom off this fort. That'll be interesting. Okay. But yeah, Helheim's busy, so they're trying to get these 2 forts, it looks like. I think Mekone's going to go for the capital. I would imagine that these 2 players have maybe talked about it. Maybe what forts or what kind of split they want to do. We've got more Fomorian stuff in the region. I honestly thought this Mekone stack would go for Winden for the Throne of the Artificer. But maybe that ends up going to Fomoria. I could see this stuff trying to move on to the fort. I think Helheim's going to try to dodge this army again, but I do think this army and the Pretender might all meet up in Tianchi to try and fight Mekone. I mean, he could try to surprise folks and move all of this onto Glanis to kill the Helheim army, or at least attempt to. But I do think the Helheim army might leave Glanis and go back to Barren Crags. We'll have to see. Because this is, I mean, it's an okay border, but it's not great if it goes like this. Maybe Fomoria goes for Winden. We'll have to see. Still not quite sure what Marverni is waiting for. Maybe a research target. They certainly, I don't know why. I really want them to take the Throne of the Moon too, from Sauromatia. They certainly have the space too. There's no Hinnom assets here. This would probably be a reasonable border between him and Hinnom. So I would definitely at least try to reply to the Diplo messages. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Hinnom will just allow this or if he'll fight Xibalba over it. Or if he'll just wait a little bit and maybe fight Xibalba later. But I'm not sure how long you want to let Xibalba cook on their new lands and do a lot of blood hunting. We already see new Ocelotls coming up here in the Lankan capital. There's still some good blood hunting to be done down here. So he's doing some here. There's at least 2 more provinces that I see that are good for it. You probably don't want to do Xibalba's too much population, but the Hulls and Caves of Madness would be alright. But he's got all this new surface land that he can blood hunt, so I'd probably work on migrating all this stuff up and out of the caves. Let's see. I mean, this should theoretically be still a fairly stable border. I think from Helheim's perspective, it's probably a little more scary having Xibalba on the border, especially with the Blood Vengeance Bless and Flyers. And you've also got to deal with Beast Bats. Maybe at some point you're going to have to deal with Blackheart Assassins. I don't know. All of that sounds pretty nasty. Mekone's not really in a position to contest this stuff. But I think after the TNG war, they will try to do more hiring down here and maybe try and go for this throne. They could certainly do that. I don't know. I think I would have moved the Mekone army here. I would have tried to take this fort. The TNG army will still be up here. I haven't seen any indications from someone else that they're willing to fight it. Like Fomoria is still a couple of provinces back. And this would be a really good throne. Hinnom's got so much land from this war. If they're allowed to consolidate, that'll be crazy. I think Xibalba probably tripled in size too. Let's go ahead and take a look at the graphs. So for provinces, we've got Hinnom way out in first now. You can see where they were, where the only person smaller than them, I believe, was Xibalba. So they've gone from second to last to first, all in the space of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like 7 turns. It's been an insane turnaround. It's been very profitable for them and Xibalba. So you can see Xibalba here. They've gone from last to kind of middle of the pack. Is still in second. Sauromatia still has some land to give. So we'll see if that happens. In terms of forts, we've got Berytos, then Xibalba, and Fomoria and For income, we've got Berytos, Hinnom, Helheim, and Fomoria. For gym income, we've got Mekone, Helheim, and Xibalba. So is doing a lot of site searching. For blood income, we've got Berytos way out in front. Xibalba's stopped a lot of blood hunting to do probably some of that raiding that we saw. But I expect that to come back pretty soon. He should be recruiting from all of his forts right now, from using all the new money he's getting. In terms of research, we've got Berytos out in front, followed by Marverni, although they've slowed because they moved their army a couple of times. TNG has stopped, and then we've got Helheim kind of meeting up for third, and then sort of 2 groupings. For Dominion, we've got and Hinnom, and then followed by Helheim in third. On army size, the two big scales nations are way out in front. We've got Berytos, and then we've got rapidly ramping up their military production right now. So they're getting pretty close. Let's go ahead and take a look at So done a lot of site searching. They've also done a lot of hiring. Not seeing a fort go up there. What was the other crazy province? Yeah, this is the other one I want him to fort. He's got a temple there. He's also got these garnets, I believe, in this wasteland. So you should probably fort the wasteland too. So a lot of new forts I'd like to see put up. But he's instead somewhat maintaining these giant armies. So he's got a new army he's making in Ulm. He's got this army in Old Forest in Curtain Wall. Probably paying a tremendous amount in upkeep, but he's been able to take advantage of a lot of opportunities because of that. From vulturing this to vulturing the Lankan caves. So it has worked out for him a bit. Let's see, any other interesting sites? Boiling Bog, I think that's water and fire. Yeah. Oh yeah, it would be good if you built a fort underwater too, so you can break into Astral. Although, uh, yeah, because that would break him into Astral, that would break him into Blood, and that would do a lot for his sorcery. Although this High Temple of the Magus does an even better job of breaking him into Astral. So you could skip the underwater fort now and just fort this wasteland. He might not want to fort these two wastelands, but they're absolutely worth it. He's got all these gold mines too. Look at that. Hidden gold mine, great gold mine, 333 income. Crazy. Alright, let's take a look at Berytos. Haven't really looked at them much lately. They're still just blood hunting away. Scaling away. We've got more shed. Huge king of the city. Is that his milk cart hero? Okay. I'm not seeing Blood 6 yet. I think it's Blood 6 where he gets milk carts. But he might get there pretty soon. He is leading the lobby in research. And he's been inflecting up, which most other players haven't been doing. So definitely the first person to hit lanterns. There's a tremendous amount of draconians as well. So we'll have to see what he ends up deciding if he feels like fighting a war right now. He's largely been able to skip first wars because of the really good expansion he's had and getting left alone to scale. So he is #1 in research, #1 in blood. I guess the gym income hasn't been too hot, but for income he's still in second. Activity has put in first, but I mean Berytos is still doing great on income. For all the land Hinnom's taken to be first in provinces, he's got to take more to even equal Berytos's income. He's #1 in forts and kind of middle of the pack on provinces, so it doesn't look maybe as scary on the overland map for other players looking at him, but he's making great use of his land in terms of macro and scaling. I would like to see more forts out of her. These giant armies are definitely weighing on the payroll. It wouldn't surprise me if he's having a little bit of trouble affording new forts and infrastructure. I hope he doesn't think he has enough, though. I do think you want the Magus. I do think you want the... was it the Garnets? And I think you want to do something to protect this province because it's insane. 333 income and 7 gems is a crazy haul for just a normal Highlands. Let's see. Take a look at some of the other sites running around. Stone. Extra units to native province defense. That's pretty cool, especially for a throne fort. That's super useful. Yeah, totally would bump that to a similar level. And wouldn't be afraid of PD dumping it either. Interesting. So pretty good glamour searching. For Mekone sites, we've got a fair amount of Earth income. Mountain of Revelation. Mundane score graphs. That's pretty handy to have if you're Mekone. So Mekone's going to be aware of some of this. We've got a Whisperwood Tower. Let's see. Xibalba from Lanka has picked up a fair amount of sites, but I don't think he's taken any time to site search it himself. I don't think Hinnom's had any time to really get site searching going. He's definitely if he can avoid getting drawn into more wars, it would absolutely behoove him to take some time to consolidate, get blood hunting going, get unrest down from all the ref fights running around, and then we should see his income go up. But we'll see if he ends up doing that. He could also feel like playing aggressive if he sees opportunities. This Citadel with 4 fire income and these adepts is pretty amazing. That'll probably get forted at some point as well. Helheim's working very hard to keep a presence on this province. Yeah, sort of like a claim as well. So he might be willing to accept these types of borders to be able to get this province, and Mekone may not entirely realize why. And this also reveals mundane score graphs. So both Helheim and Mekone have access to mundane score graphs, which is pretty interesting. Fomoria for site searching. It seems like they've had some pretty bad luck. Maerlande's a pretty good player. I'm assuming he's done a fair amount of site searching. So this looks like he's had probably a lot of misses and been pretty unlucky. And then let's see. Let's go ahead and see if Marverni's found anything new. And then we can go ahead and hop out for this particular turn. Let's say Pyramid of Life. He's retaken his gold mine. I mean, this is still a pretty cool site, being able to get free Banes. I think Hinnom should be willing to peace out Marverni. So the real question is, does Marverni want to peace out Hinnom? Or is he in chatting maybe with another player like Xibalba about how big Hinnom's gotten? Maybe they need to control Hinnom. Hinnom's almost connected top to bottom on the map. Xibalba's going to see that because he's going to see this and this. So Xibalba should know how big Hinnom is. Marverni should also know. So if they've talked about that, maybe the need to coalition Hinnom. That could certainly be the case. Which would, I mean, that would suck for Hinnom, because you survive a 2v1 and then maybe get put in another 2v1. The classic, he survived a coalition, therefore he deserves to be coalitioned. But yeah, really interesting. We've got a lot of fighting. I'm very curious to see who gets TNG's cap. My guess is Mekone. I'm not sure if Helheim will try to stick it out on Glanis or move off. I think if I were Helheim, I would consider moving off, especially if I've talked to Mekone. No reason for me to fight that TNG army. Mekone might want Glanis, but I imagine Mekone also would want Winden more. So maybe they'll split these forts with Helheim. And if you do want Winden, then you want your army to be able to run down here and claim it. I don't know that he needed to rush straight to the capital, though. I don't think Helheim potentially was going to try and take the capital. He probably could have come down here and claimed Winden. And then maybe came up here and been more assertive about getting the capital because, you know, hey, I fought the main TNG army. But we'll have to see. I'm not sure how the negotiations are going between these two, or if they've come to some sort of split. I know Helheim has talked with Fomoria and given Fomoria a few raided provinces. We'll see if Fomoria also maybe wants Winden themselves. I'm sure everyone would want Winden, so it's a pretty nice province. A lot of resources. You get the construction bonus, it's got a few gems. All right, but yeah, that's it for this one. I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next one. Have a good one.